Have you guys seen Patrick Bateman from American Psycho? Of course you have, with all these TikTok Sigma edits of him, or a bunch of memes featuring him. But he's the definition of a literally me character for other men, because of the desirable traits he has which falls into the male fantasy. The success, the wealth and money, the women he gets, and most importantly, the physically attractive features of this young man, which ends up overshadowing all of his negative features of his personality, as well as the murdering out of lust or from anger. Other popular examples within the media are protagonists like Walter White in Breaking Bad, Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, and Joker from Joker. These are characters that are socially outcast or being reduced to wasted potential, who end up expressing their dissatisfaction about the world and finding fulfillment by doing so, while being morally questionable people. Now, of course, there are women variants of the literally me character archetype, targeting common struggles and insecurities women have, along with their desires, and it made me think about a certain character I've been seeing a lot around the internet. A black-haired girl with a fringe, dressed in a Japanese fashion subculture, along with her persona of a girl in holographic clothing with hair strands looking like DNA. I'm talking about Ame-chan from the Japanese visual novel game Needy Streamer Overload. Although I wouldn't say Ame-chan is targeted towards women or the female fantasy, it's more like the terminally online female fantasy. Cute girly looks with a touch of mental illness to be unique and an easy job like streaming. It makes all these wannabe VTubers and online femcels be like, oh, it's literally me. How the game works is that you play as P-chan, the unknown playable character used for the player to self-insert. Your only characteristic is that you're dating Ame-chan, and it's up for you to help Ame-chan reach her goal of becoming the #1 online streamer as OMG Kawaii Angel. Great name. Now, considering that Ame-chan has a codependency with your character, you basically maintain and control every aspect of her life, telling her what to do as she struggles to make decisions for herself. You choose what streams she does, where to go, how to message her, what activities to do together. Ooh. With the game based on streaming, it creates a critique on the culture, showing a darker side to it. The parasocial relationship between streamers and viewers, the obsession over numbers, and attaching validation towards it and the people behind the characters they portray online. But we are mainly going to be discussing about the characters and how the fandom perceives them. So, I played this game, which is already more than what half the fandom has done, but in my opinion, this game is really boring. Like, the plot isn't interesting, which in return makes the gameplay of managing Ame-chan unappealing to sit through, although I compliment the charm of the game with the visual aesthetic drawing influence from the pastel pink and blue colors of the vaporwave style, along with the interface of old operating systems from the 80s and 90s. Both aesthetics which are commonly used by streamers on their live stream overlays, as well with complementing the writing. Not because of the quality, but because of how accurate it feels towards how people would act online, from the chats on the stream to texting the main character herself. Now, behind the cutesy and confident K-Angel persona, we have Ame-chan, seemingly a cute looking girl in K clothing, which is usually a blouse along with a high waist skirt, giving the wearer a hyper-feminine style along with being involved in consumerist culture in Japan, meaning collecting accessories, especially with popular Japanese franchises. A common example being characters from the Sanrio universe, like Karami. And then there's the K culture, which is the complete opposite, following dark themes of mental illness, self-harm, drug use, and sex work, but use the hyper-feminine style to subvert expectations. Alternatively, they're also known as landmine women. It's an expression used for a girl that seems nice and looks physically attractive, but upon dating her, you find out that she's fucking insane. Just like a landmine, it can be hard to spot the danger since it's hidden. So when you do get closer to Ame-chan, that's when the landmine explodes. Turns out she's an insecure adult otaku that has mental illnesses and plenty of issues. A much different envisionment of what otakus are stereotypically seen as. Cause I have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, I don't want to go out, I don't want to get a proper job, I'm scared of other people, adults piss me off, and I'm stupid, but I still want everyone to fawn over me. In a way, this game's making fun of people like Ame-chan. You're stereotypically an adult otaku, basically a loser being obsessed with consuming Japanese media and staying inside all day. By doing so, you're developing a sense of rejection connection to the outside world and society, with normal aspects of human life such as having a job or socializing perceived as being scary. The perfect job for someone like that is something online, something that seems easy. So what is seemingly easier than being a streamer where you play games and watch videos all day, with the extra benefit of being paid more than most salary workers due to the parasocial relationship you make with a lonely audience, as they develop an unhealthy attachment and donate sums of money to you just to get that tiny bit of action they're missing in their lives. So I found this bingo sheet listing out all of Ame-chan's character traits, and I'm gonna go through them briefly to list out some of her issues, and you'll get the point, okay? Childhood trauma, has suicidal thoughts, doesn't go out as often, followers equals self-worth, substance abuse, needs a lot of attention and reassurance at all time, and probably the worst one here, likes anime. Clearly has some mental disorders, but for comedic effect, it's laid out like a bingo sheet. Will I get bingo today, boys? Let's find out. Ah shit, not today, boys. Not fucked up enough. Although, I'm like one more bad relationship to develop abandonment issues. At least I'll get a bingo when that happens. I was able to fill 5 slots in, which I thought was bad, until I looked up other people's bingo sheets, and holy shit, there's like 12 bingos on here. Well, for context, this is a Kinnie Bingo, as you can see earlier from the title and bottom bar. For anyone that doesn't know what Kinnie is, it's where a person relates to a fictional character from the looks to the personality to the issues, which leads to the point where the person develops some sort of deeper connection to the point where they feel like themselves are the character they're kinning. So we got a girl suffering from BPD or these other mental issues who is terminally online, which makes her much more vulnerable to be harmed on the internet than a regular person. The scenario becomes worse when the responsibility of content creation gets attached. The stress when it comes to maintaining relevance and growth, succumbing to the negative comments that stand out to you, and maintaining the relationships outside the internet. These issues become in-game stats to measure Ame-chan's condition, and depending on the stats, an ending can occur based on them, along with any events that happen throughout your playthrough. Although, the endings are usually negative and relates towards the relationships either from her audience, with endings such as getting bored of a fan base or running a cult with them, for example. Relationship with the character you play as, like where she breaks up with you, cucks you, like twice. Relationship towards herself, where she seeks validation from external sources or have mental breakdowns. And relationship with streaming, where she gives up on streaming out of stress or because she becomes a sex addict. Or with the only good ending out of the game, where she quit streaming to focus studying for her certification tests. I mean, it's debatable if studying to be a 9-to-5 wage cuck is a satisfying lifestyle, but to each of their own. It's only until the secret ending where it's revealed that the character you play as, P-chan, is just an imaginary player she made up to cope with her loneliness and need of validation. I feel like this ending is a message to the player and anyone like Ame-chan. It's about moving on, because by leaving P-chan in this ending means that she overcomes her insecurities and pursues a better future for herself. Although this ending is a chore to unlock because you have to play through all 27 different endings which have their own unique requirements to unlock, and then you can play through the secret ending. So it's not a surprise if the average player completely misses out on watching the ending unfold, which means it's quite easy to miss the point of the game. Now, it's not a completely bad thing if you relate to Ame-chan. It's thinking that being that type of self-destructive person is a good thing. But these girls having Ame-chans in their profiles and kinning her have the wrong idea, because in a way they're romanticizing the mentally ill behavior of Ame-chan and treat it like it's some quirky character trait. You shouldn't strive to be like her, nor should you try to idolize her. This type of attitude is pretty common in social media recently. It's called malingering. It's where you fake illnesses or harm yourself to get symptoms of those illnesses for personal gain. For this case, it's for validation, because if you show your rare and unique condition, you stand out, which allows you to get more empathy and attention. There's this popular situation with the TikTok content creator called Ticks and Roses, who got exposed for faking Tourette's syndrome, a neurological disorder that makes the user do repetitive movements or unwanted sounds that are hard to control, which are called tics for short. So Tix and Rose's content is basically raising awareness for Tourette syndrome by posting struggles of their daily life because of their constant tics. But in reality, these videos show an inaccurate representation of Tourette's, as well with using the platform to promote their business, profiting from merchandise based on the disorder.
Send me to Canada!
Alright, so the first thing I notice is, yeah, this does scream very fake.
Videos and situations like this are frequent, especially with the increase of content covering mental illnesses online. Although it can raise awareness, it can also lead people into self-diagnosis due to simplification of the mental disorders they present. It's like anyone wanting to become Ame-chan, thinking that having these mental illnesses and problems are just a quirky trait, but fail to realize how serious they are. It's not fun struggling with any issues Ame-chan has. BDP, abandonment issues, isolation, which are issues that can spiral into drug abuse, self-harm, or even delusions. I guess it can be hard to notice this because the game's portrayal of these themes can be seen as a glorification, since the whole game is depicted in this cute and girly aesthetic, which ends up downplaying some of the serious themes presented in the game. While in other types of media that explore these topics, they're usually presented in a darker tone. A common example is BoJack Horseman, with the main character suffering from the same mental disorder as Ame-chan. Both characters showcase some of the same struggles, although BoJack is an anthropomorphic horse which was formerly a movie star, but now a shadow of his former self. He's depicted plenty of times at his worst throughout the show, dealing with his own substance abuse, guilt, and suicide attempts. These moments, BoJack is shown to be a mess, a completely broken person struggling from his past traumas and guilt, while Ame-chan, who struggles from the same things, still looks like a cute girl during her worst moments. I feel like with the darker tone BoJack was able to present with the serious topics, it makes the message clear on how BoJack isn't someone you should be idolizing, but with needy streamer overload, the serious themes are seen just as an aesthetic. The drugs and substances look pleasing. Some of the darker scenes are just a bunch of visual effects people like to use for their anime movie videos, and Ame-chan is a visually appealing character with a cute personality, the hyper feminine Jiraiya clothing, and the cutesy texting style. It's human nature to view typically attractive people in a positive way, which can create a justification of their questionable and harmful behavior. Along with that, we also have the men in the situation being like, guys, I can fix her. I can fix her is a common phrase which has been thrown around jokingly towards problematic characters in the media. Well, I think people are saying that as a joke. The phrase can be a reflection on some people's personal preference in romantic partners, which are people that have so many issues and problematic traits. Ame-chan falls into this category as characters to fix, as the issues and personality are usually undesirable to handle in a relationship. But why be of interest in someone that is redder than the Chinese flag? Maybe it's a savior complex, a need to have control in a relationship being covered up by the generous deed of helping someone. Someone who struggles with mental health can be seen as an easy target to manipulate. It's a very case-by-case situation where people's motivations can vary. But why fix her though? She's funnier with the mental illnesses. I feel like it's a pretty common stereotype about how crazy people are hot. The reason comes from the sense of excitement, because imagine you have a stable relationship. It's good, but that's it. Your emotions go like a straight line. The experience you feel in a relationship pretty much stays the same. It gets boring. So this is where dating a crazy person comes in, because you get to experience all the highs and lows in a relationship. The intensity of the love they express with you is amplified, with phrases like crazy in the head, crazy in the... oh my god. Yeah, so those phrases are thrown around, adding a sexualization towards the mentally ill people. Although the highs in the relationship come with the cost of dealing with all the problems that come with an unstable person. The usual outcomes for these type of relationships that become long-term is either the fixer gets fucked over by the broken person, since all of their problems get projected onto them, which becomes mentally exhausting trying to deal with. And now they need fixing themselves after experiencing such a toxic dynamic. Or the broken person gets even more broken, since the fixer just neglects them after realizing that the downsides aren't worth dealing with, or not as hot as they would imagine. Or they both go through emotional breakthrough, which leads the once broken couple to live happily ever after.
like that's ever gonna happen.
At the end of the day, you can't fix them, and the endings of Needy Streamer Overload reflect on this, considering there aren't any good endings. All the meltdowns, along with the suicide attempts, cheating on the player, giving up on the shared goal, sounds similar to the outcomes I mentioned earlier. Ami-chan can't be fixed under your command. It's only when she takes control for herself, then she can start to heal, which is shown at the aforementioned secret ending, where she leaves the internet and experiences the real world herself. No more following orders by the player, no more relying on the shallow wealth of subscribers or views or money. She no longer needs to live by the validation of others, but allows herself to become independent for the first time in her life.